Hello. This is Movies and Munchies with Melissa Cox. Welcome. And my lovely co-host today is
Hi, I'm Beth.
Hey Beth. Okay, today we are at the very beginning of the year. So, let me back that up again. We This is Movies and Munchies with Melissa Cox. We're part of the Neurodiversity Media Network, and um I'm just like really glad to be back at this because things kind of fell apart a little bit at the end of the year last year for me like organizationally, and honestly sometimes they need to do that, and we just take a break and come back to things when we are ready.
Yes, you need to give
Which
yourself space to figure it out.
exactly. So we're in January. We are in the time of New Year's resolutions, and at this point, you've probably given up on a couple of those. Maybe, I don't know. I don't really do
No,
resolutions, so
I try not to make them.
it's just if I'm gonna change something about my life, I'm gonna change it whenever I'm gonna change it, not like
Right,
at the beginning of the year at an arbitrary time.
right. I don't need to wait until the 1st of January to change it.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, there's like some mental, like, there's like some brain science about, fresh start of January and everything, but there's also science about like starting things on a Monday or
Right.
at the beginning of a month.
Yeah.
So you do whatever works for you. However, like because it's January and the time of resolutions and like starting routines and stuff, I chose for this episode Rocky from 1976. Because that's like, I don't know, my brain for whatever reason connects Rocky with like, I mean, it takes place in the middle of winter, and also just him in his sweats out there running up the stairs in Philadelphia, like that's just, it just connects in my brain to like January, New Year's resolutions, like
Right.
uh drinking like 8 eggs because it was before protein shakes existed.
Sure, sure. It's excuse me.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna close the door real quick because my cat
Sure, sure.
and yeah. Because having cats is basically just having extra children.
Sure, sure. I don't have cats, but I understand.
Yeah. Or dogs or whatever high needs animals that you have.
I do have dogs, and they are high needs always. But
So 1976, Rocky is kind of an amazing movie because it was made for like Sylvester Stallone sold this movie for $100,000, and the script that he wrote, which I know like is a thing that could be easy to forget, that he wrote this. Like
yeah,
he's this epitome of like macho masculinity, but like he is an artist. He is a writer. He is a poet.
yeah.
Um
He's kind of an amazingly talented person.
mhm. So he sold this for $100,000, and then the movie itself was made for just 1 million.
Wow.
Yeah, which is outrageous, and it was a success in the box office. Um
Yeah.
and also like got, I want to say 10 Academy Award nominations,
Mhm.
and then won 3 Academy Awards. Um yeah.
I mean, it's and it has I feel like it's one of the movies that has withstood the test of time. People still love this movie and watch it. Like, if it's on TV, they're gonna watch it, or they just some people are
Get
still
sucked
like,
in.
they just get in the mood to watch Rocky, right, and pull out their DVD.
Yeah.
of Rocky. And it has withstood the test of time as far as having fans and
Yeah.
lovers.
And honestly, like, as far as okay, so one of the things that I noticed on this watch through recently was that Rocky's actually a pretty decent dude. Like,
Yeah.
comparatively, especially for 1976, like,
Yeah.
this dude is he's essentially a feminist. Like, he's like, uh the not what people who are against feminists would think that a feminist would be, right?
Right.
He
Right.
is an actual feminist in that he's like willing to stand up for people and make sure that
Mhm.
everybody's got the same shot, everybody's got the same like treatment, and that people are like, I'm not saying that Rocky was a good person
Right.
necessarily, because
Right.
obviously his job was to beat people
Right.
for a gangster.
Right. And yeah, that doesn't, that being your job, your profession does not lend itself to, people thinking that you have a like perfect moral compass. But if like setting that aside, his interpersonal relationships were, I mean, just really nice,
Yeah.
with other people, like caring about people, like you said, and like being willing to help and stand up for people.
And also, like, pointing out, like, so okay, I guess I should do the plot basically,
All right, let's do that.
just to just to go over it. So Rocky Balboa is a small-time boxer from working-class Philadelphia and is arbitrarily chosen to take on the reigning world heavyweight champion, Apollo Creed, who's played by Carl Weathers, who does a really fantastic job.
Yeah.
Um, when the undefeated fighter's scheduled opponent is injured, while training with feisty former bantamweight contender Mickey Goldmill, played by Burgess Meredith, Rocky tentatively begins a relationship with Adrian, Talia Shire, the wallflower sister of his meat packer pal Polly, who's played by Burt Young. Um, yeah, and then it's just an underdog story. It's
Right.
just him coming from nothing, nowhere. Like, he is beat down. He's been at this boxing thing for he's like nearing the end of his career, right? Like,
Right.
because he hasn't gotten like notoriety, like he hasn't gotten as much as you would need to keep going at
Right.
this point in time.
Right.
Obviously, like, these days, an athlete can usually keep going longer than they used to be able to. But at that time, like, even he's what, in his 30s, and
Yeah.
he's not doing okay. He has been beat to hell.
Right. And that's like, and
Mm,
you have to think like that's having that as your profession, like beating people and getting beaten up, that takes probably some years off your lifespan. That does some damage to the body.
I mean, literally, like, now we're getting, medical research on traumatic brain injuries and all of that stuff. So
Yeah.
obviously, like, he almost definitely had some of that.
Right.
But as he will say himself in the movie, like, his dad told him that you better be tough because you're not smart. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And that kind of has the same ring as you ain't got to be smart if you're pretty.
you do not. And
And
he's
so
not, I mean, I think he's pretty in his own way,
yeah.
but
But
he's
he's
not
not
like traditionally
classically
attractive.
right. He's not a classically pretty person, but he is attractive. He's, but yeah, his dad better be tough because you're not smart.
Yep. And then I mean, but it's beautiful too because he meets Adrian,
Hmm.
or he has already met Adrian when the movie starts. Like, he
Right.
kind of stalks her a little bit at her job.
Yeah. Yeah. It's stalking adjacent for sure.
It's a little awkward. It's like, if that happened these days, you'd be like, dude, she can't leave. You're being a creep.
Right. Stop it.
Stop it. But it's
But
also kind of adorable. One of the scenes I had forgotten is like him practicing in front of the mirror what he's gonna say to her, and it's adorable.
yo, Adrian.
It's pretty precious.
It is, and it's really cute, like and I think that's something we don't see a whole lot in film and TV is the male or the more masculine partner
Yeah.
be having that vulnerable,
Yeah.
nervous moment, and that was really nice, because you see all the time the female or more feminine partner, like, being nervous or being giddy and being, excited and stuff like that, but you don't get it as much from the other counterpart,
Yeah.
and it was really nice to see. He's all nervous and he's practicing.
I think that's, like, one of the things I love the most about this movie is just the humanity. Like, this script is so well written, showing masculinity in a really non-toxic way. Like, it's he is clearly masculine. Like, he is clearly very, like, macho and yet in his own, like, stumbling, awkward way, like, he is trying to be a good guy. Like, he's doing his best to show up in that sort of chivalrous way that we like that men I think idealize sometimes, but does not always get shown as well anymore.
Yeah,
Obviously, it has a dark side as well, but like we see the good side in this movie.
right.
Like the girl who is hanging out with the guys on the street corner, and she's probably like 12 or 13, I
Yeah,
think. And he is being an asshole about it, but he's telling her basically like, you think that you're being like, you think that they're your friends and that they're going to like you, but they're not because you're acting crass, you're acting whatever. So like he's trying to help her in his own like
weird.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's wanting I think he's wanting to tell her, like, you that they're not gonna like you
The way that you
ever,
want them to like
and
you.
they're never going to, like, respect you and be your friends.
Yeah.
You you need to, like, just see what this is,
Yeah.
acknowledge what it is,
Yeah.
and, because it's a contractual relationship, and, she gives and they give and take and everything, but he's trying to tell her and take care of her, but he's not good at it.
Yeah, I mean, she tells him basically like fuck off
Yeah,
when she like leaves, but he's also like walking her home at
yeah,
the same time. He's like, I realize that I'm bad at talking. Like he knows he's bad at talking,
yeah,
but he's still gonna like try to do the decent thing as much
yeah,
as he can. So he walks her home, makes sure that she's safe, and tries to impart his wisdom upon her, even if
yeah,
she's like, you're an asshole, which he kind of is.
yeah, but and that's also, though, kind of a marker of her age, right? Because they're
Definitely.
definitely when people are at a certain age in their life, you can't tell them shit.
Cannot.
You cannot tell them shit, and they've got
Yep.
to that's when they have to, make their mistakes and learn their lessons,
Yeah, sometimes you just have to learn through experience.
right?
And it's
And
like
that's
I think like the hope, especially like when I think about stuff that I tell my kids and I feel like it's just completely going through one ear and out the other, like I'm hoping that maybe enough of it sticks around that one day they will look back and it it will have been a seed
right,
of something that helps them figure themselves out or figure out a situation, right?
right. And, when you're having that moment with your kids, like you said, it's probably all going in one ear and out the next, but you are hopeful that
I will talk later.
maybe maybe when they're in that moment where they're having to learn that lesson, maybe they'll learn it a little quicker
Yeah.
with a little less, trauma attached to it
That's
because
definitely the hope.
they'll remember.
Yeah.
I think with some children, it's more likely than others. I've got one of each.
Me too.
One will remember that lesson that I told them and be like, "Oh, you know what? I'm not doing that." And the other one will have exactly what I said was gonna happen, and then
Yep.
be like, "I wish someone would have warned me about that."
Yep. Yep. And then, wonder why no one is around to soothe them. And
Right.
I will bite my tongue if I'm able, and probably not be able to be like, well, that is a thing that happened.
I'm not often able to bite my tongue in those situations. I'm often like, "Yes, this is a really terrible thing that happened. Now, if you'll remember,
This is a product of your own actions.
you did make a choice."
We all make choices. And
And
I have learned plenty of those lessons myself
yep.
because I have made lots of choices.
Mhm,
Doesn't matter what somebody tries to say, because sometimes we just have to experience it.
mhm. And that's just true. That's sometimes no matter what people say, and like with this little girl that Rocky's trying to help, it didn't matter what he said to her.
Yeah.
She was gonna make her own choices. And and I don't think it would have mattered if he was better at words, better at
Yeah.
talking. She wasn't gonna hear him. But he
Yeah.
tried.
He
Like, he
did
wanted
try.
to help.
And that's like the thing I love about him is he just keeps trying. Right? Like that's I think the core of this story's meaning is that he just keeps going.
Right.
Like he is not the best boxer at
Mm-mm.
all. He's not the best at a lot of things,
Right.
but he is resilient and he is determined.
But he's got some, what do they call it? Stick to itiveness.
Mhm. And grit.
He's gonna keep trying. He's gonna keep pushing. And I think that's also part of the reason why this movie has been loved for so long is because people can see themselves in Rocky. They can
Mhm.
see that he's not the most handsome. He is not the smartest. He is not the best at his job,
Yeah.
but he never quit trying. And it's that underdog mentality, but people love an underdog
Yeah.
in film and in real life. You love an underdog.
We love a Cinderella story.
Exactly, and that's what Rocky is. He is Cinderella. She went to her fucking ball. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
His fairy godmother slash old man got him ready for his ball,
Yep.
and it's an awesome story, but people love to see that he's just a normal guy.
Mhm.
He's not the best at anything.
He's really not.
And there are sometimes, like, when he's talking to Adrian, you're like, "Oh, you're the worst at this specifically.
This
Um,
thing.
this what you're doing here, you're the worst at it." Um, but he never stops
Yeah.
trying, which, and that mentality, of course, is if done incorrectly, we call it stalking, right? We talked about
Yes.
that before. Um,
Yes.
because if you're not good at it and but you keep trying, sometimes that's not wanted.
Yeah, I
So
will say, like, I feel like that's the incorrect lesson that some guys may have taken from this story and stories like it, where
right.
it's like, I can't remember who it is or if it's just a meme, but like there was like this thing where it was a quote of uh, talking to a younger teenager guy, and the guy's saying how like this girl he likes just keeps telling him no, like just doesn't, or has told him no, doesn't want to go on a date or like whatever.
Yeah.
And the adult is like, well, you know what you got to do, right? And the kid's like, I know, keep trying. And the adult's like, no, stop
Yeah.
and
It
leave her
it's
alone.
it's leave her alone. She gave you her answer.
Yeah. And you know what? It doesn't matter if you think that she's making a mistake. Okay, she might be. She's allowed to do that.
Right.
Like,
And I think that there is that, yeah, like, going along with that, there the whole thing where women are supposed to play hard to get, and they're supposed to pretend, that they don't wanna date you, and I think that that went a long way towards making men think that if they just kept trying, they could break her
Yeah.
down because she's just playing hard to get,
Yeah. It's
and
all
I
stories that we got told as kids, and,
Right,
like, it's just stories.
right,
It's not real life. Or
and
even if it is, it's like some version of us trying to act out those stories, right? Because some girls have, like, or some people get this idea that, like, if they really love me, I have to like, I have to make it hard so that I know that they really love me.
yes, because that's how they'll prove their love to me is by working hard to
Yeah.
get me.
So I'm like, I don't think it's all on one side or the other. Like, I
Right,
think it's that we both kind of can fall into those traps of, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is how I am supposed to act with people, but like, is that serving us? Is that
no,
serving our relationships, our
it's not.
communication? We do not have to make it as complicated as that. Like, why
No,
don't we all just say what we mean?
yes. I mean, if more people stopped trying to pretend to be neurotypical and started just saying what they meant.
I don't even know if people know how to do that. I think that's like one of the biggest challenges I come up against with people. And I think one of the reasons that people seem to think that I'm smarter than I am sometimes, because I'm just willing to point out dumb shit.
Right.
And it's that it's dumb to me, right? Like, it's like, I don't understand why we're doing things this way. Why can't you just say the thing that you mean? I don't
Mhm.
I don't want to have to. I could sit here, and you know what? I have masked well enough throughout my life that I could sit here and try to understand what you're saying, but I don't want to. That sounds
Right.
exhausting.
And I I got called out for not just saying what I meant the other week, and I didn't even realize I had done it.
It
But,
happens.
my friend asked me if I wanted to ride with her to, Ulta, and she texted me, and I texted her, and I said, "Well, I've just, started, like, waiting for my bread to rise, and I don't wanna leave right now, because 'cause we'll be gone for too long, and it'll be out for too long," and she said, "Okay, is that a yes or a no?"
Yeah.
And she said, "You have to say, or do you wanna come or
Yeah.
do you not wanna come?" And I'm like, "Oh, damn, you're right. No, I can't come. Thanks."
Yeah.
And, but as a person
Mhm.
who, raised to I'm not supposed to tell people no, right?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be agreeable and
Yeah.
do
And
what
so you have to
everybody
find a
else
way
wants. And so I was
around
like,
that.
I think in my brain, I was trying to, like, not say no,
Yeah.
but convey that I was unable to do this.
Yes.
And she was like, "You just tell me yes or no.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be
And
upset either way."
right, and that's the thing is it also comes down to trust, whether we trust this other person that we're talking to not react with, like, resentment or anger toward us
Mhm,
because we said no, because we kept our boundaries, because we stayed with, like, stayed true to ourselves instead of whatever it is that we think they want to do, right?
right, right,
But ultimately, like, boundaries, this is something that I've been trying to, talk about with my kids a lot, is you have to keep your own boundaries, because ultimately, if you do not keep your boundaries and have boundaries, that hurts other people too,
right,
because you're making them think that you are totally okay with something, right? And then if that comes out later, because you can't keep that up forever.
no,
Like, you cannot keep up a mask forever, and you can't keep up a lack of boundaries forever. If the situation keeps happening,
right,
eventually you're going to snap, or you're going to, like, disappear or something. So if you don't keep those boundaries, if you don't say you have boundaries, then you are hurting them because they thought that everything was fine.
Right.
Like, they thought that there wasn't a problem, and that's not fair. It's people pleasing is ultimately lying.
Right. And I mean, and you know this about me. I was a people pleaser for many, many, many moons.
Same.
And when I finally did decide to set boundaries and maintain those boundaries with, a specific person, it was really hard, and it wasn't immediate, but after I had been no contact for a while, I realized that the reason that me going no contact with this human, or potentially part of the reason that it was so difficult for them, was
Mhm.
because they didn't know how I had felt for all of these years. They did
Yeah.
not know what I had been going through
Yeah.
in pleasing them, what it was doing to me. I had never told them.
Yeah.
And now, knowing this person as I do, that wouldn't have changed
Yeah.
their behavior towards me. But maybe had I been more honest with them over the years, it would not have been such a shock when I just never spoke to them again.
Yeah, but I mean, again, like, we're trying to piece out another person's, like, I don't want to go so far into, so, like, it's not fair to another person to not tell them how we feel, right? Because that gives them the chance to respond.
Right.
And us enacting boundaries gives them the chance to continue that like, that relationship, if they respond appropriately and respect our boundaries and um all of that stuff.
Right.
But I also don't want us to, like, get self recriminatory about,
Right.
like, having boundaries and having not had them before, right? Because we
Right.
only do the best that we can do when we are there,
And
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 we
that's the
learn.
thing, like, I try to tell my kids, like, it's there's a fine line, right, between, um, sharing your boundaries and your reasons for those boundaries and with people, so that they can respect them, and understanding that you don't owe people an explanation
Yeah.
for why you feel the way that you feel. As long as you're not, participating in a behavior that is harming someone else,
Mhm.
you don't owe people an explanation for your feelings.
Yeah.
You don't owe them your story.
Yeah. You don't. It's like, sometimes the answer is just no.
Yeah.
And yeah, we get to decide whether a person is worth the energy to
Right.
try to solve something or not. And you know what sucks is that sometimes they're not, and sometimes you're that person who's not worth the energy in somebody else's life,
Right.
and that sucks.
Yeah. And but you know what? Rocky was worth the energy.
He was like, yeah, I was trying to, like, find a way to bring this back through,
Look, we
because I
circled
just,
back. We
yeah,
always circle back.
I think, like, the way that Rocky, okay, I have to, like, say that Adrian's brother, Paulie, is the fucking worst.
Yeah.
Just the worst kind of person.
Yeah.
He's so abusive, like,
Mhm.
in all of the ways that
Yeah.
you can be okay, hopefully not one of the ways that you can be abusive,
Sure.
but, like, all of the others, he
Yeah.
is so abusive to Adrian and everyone in his orbit, but, like, especially Adrian. I
Right.
don't know what happened with their family situation, like, if both of their parents died early or what, but he acts as though he has been her father for, like, I don't know,
Yeah.
ever.
He excuse me. He is, as like we said before, that Rocky is the, like, dictionary definition of non-toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Paulie's the other side of the spectrum.
Yes, he is.
He is our definition of toxic masculinity, because he is in charge, and he's going to make sure that you know that,
Yep.
no matter what the cost.
Yep. And also, like, he wants to be in charge of everything. Like he just wants to be seen and known. And I know how horrible like those, like I've seen documentaries on how awful meat packing plants are, right? Like especially in
Right.
that time period and before.
Right.
I think they're still not great,
I'm
but
sure they're not.
just because, but we do have machinery now to help with some of those parts, but like it's brutal. It's
Yeah.
absolutely soul crushingly brutal what people had to do, and like the sort of mentality that you had to have to work in a meatpacking plant
Right.
when you are taking a live animal all the way through to the end.
Right.
Um and like I can't remember what it was that I read like years ago, but like basically like it is not uncommon for people to be sociopathic who work in or appear sociopathic at least, who work in meat packing plants long term.
Right.
Because I mean, you can only have so much empathy if you are doing that every single day of your life.
Right. Right.
And I think Polly is a really good example of that sort of mentality, like of the worst part that can happen to your soul when you do that every single day.
Right. He is most definitely a broken man, but he is not the type of broken man that we feel any sort of sympathy for,
Because he takes it
because
out on other people.
he's weaponized his own weakness, and so we hate him. He's the villain in the
He
story.
really is. Yeah, right, because I mean, I guess theoretically the villain could have been um what's his name? Apollo Creed. It
Sure.
could have, but it's not.
Sure.
Like he's the antagonist. Apollo Creed is the antagonist, and really, I mean, the ultimate antagonist is just life. It's
Yeah.
just competing against the sort of poverty and struggle to succeed at something.
Yeah. And I mean, and that is something that, we can all understand, but also like that need to be successful. We can understand, but success at any cost?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Uh, okay, so another point that I love about this movie is like at the very end, um, where they are both beaten to a pulp. They have beaten each other to a pulp, and they're both just like, I'm not fighting this fight again. Like, I am not doing this again.
right. And they like what is it? Rocky has to have his eye cut open,
Oh my god, yeah.
and
Oh,
Creed has like internal bleeding and he like can't breathe.
it's horrific. Like
It
this
is.
movie's like
Ugh.
visceralness
Yeah.
is more horrifying and like makes me want to curl up into a ball than like any of the horror movies that I've seen recently.
Right.
It's just it's so real. I think that's the thing is like, yes, that's absolutely what people, human beings do this to each other. Like this is a thing that they do.
Right. Right. And but you know what? I think my favorite part about this movie, about the writing of this movie, the directing of this movie, and the realness, the most real thing is that Rocky doesn't win.
Yeah.
Apollo Creed wins.
Yep.
And I mean, they obviously Apollo and Rocky like both tap out. They both quit.
Yeah.
And then the judges an- um announce Apollo Creed as the winner based on their decision making or
Yeah.
whatever. But generally, when you see the underdog story,
Mhm.
the underdog wins. and Rocky doesn't win.
That's the best,
He
honestly.
is acknowledged by
Yeah.
everyone that he is an amazing fighter, that he's got, gumption, grit, like we said before, like, and he knocked down Apollo Creed for the first time ever in Apollo Creed's
Yeah.
entire career, but he doesn't win. And I think that's awesome because sometimes you can try as hard as you possibly can and do your very, very best,
Yep.
like the best that you are capable of doing, and you might not win.
Yeah. And
And
the thing that we celebrate is the trying.
right,
Like,
and it's okay that you didn't win because you tried so hard.
yeah.
And what did we learn, right? That's what I when my
Yeah.
kids do things like this and
Yeah.
they've, entered a drawing and a contest or something and they don't win. And
Yep.
I'm like, "But you know what? You submitted the very best piece of artwork
Yeah.
that you were capable of making at that time, and what we learned is that you're capable of amazing things."
Yeah. And that you committed to that.
Right.
You worked so hard.
Like, you made a commitment, you worked hard, you followed through. And that's what we get from Rocky, right?
Yeah.
That he doesn't win, but he showed himself and everyone else what he's capable of doing
Yeah.
when he sets his mind to it, like how hard he can work, how much commitment and drive and perseverance that he has, which is his character throughout the whole
Yeah.
thing. He is a person who doesn't quit.
Yep.
And just because he doesn't win doesn't mean he was not victorious.
Yeah.
But I love that he doesn't win the fight.
Me too. It's what makes this the difference to me, like, between this and just a regular sports movie, I
Right,
guess, um, is both the realness of his character, like, the seeing that sort of non-toxic masculinity in such a raw and honest way, and
right,
the fact that he doesn't win.
right,
Because it's not a happily ever after in a traditional sense. It's
right,
subverting that, like, it's still happily for him, and it's
right,
still, like, the only thing that he cares about at the end is Adrian. Like,
right,
he is so fucking proud that he made it.
right. He survived the fight. He made it all the rounds or whatever
Yeah.
boxing terms. Um,
Rounds, yeah.
but like he finished the fight
Yeah.
and
That
yeah,
was his goal.
when it's over, he just wants Adrian, and that's everybody knows, that moment
That's
from the film, the
yeah,
Adrian,
yeah. Where he can't even see, and he
No,
just wants her.
he just wants Adrian. And, distracting the security guards and her climbing into the ring and
Yeah.
all that, like, but it's I don't know, I think like I said, that's my favorite thing about the film is that he doesn't win. And because to me that's just so realistic. Because in what world, honestly, real life,
Right?
does the underdog who's been training for a month and a half
Yes.
beat, like, the champion?
Like,
That doesn't actually happen. That's
that
not
would be too
actually real life.
fantastical.
Right. Then we have moved from sports film to fantasy, science fiction fantasy, right? It doesn't happen.
Yeah,
And as much as you want to say that it does,
that's not,
it's really not the way that the world works.
and it wouldn't be as satisfying. Like,
Right.
I don't think that, so, like, I have this thing with a lot of, like, I love nerds. I love us, but a lot of the time, whenever I see an unfinished show or, like, a show that, could have had longer.
A specific one comes to mind, yes.
Yes. I feel for our grief that that show did not, and also, I propose the idea that maybe the fact that it ended before it was able to go on for 15 seasons and then have a somewhat lackluster ending,
Another
um
specific one comes to mind.
yep, maybe it's just better, like
Right. And that's I think that you're right about that, because there are some shows that we love and they're so good, but then they keep going and you can tell almost
Yeah,
every time, you can tell when the show has made it
they don't know what they're doing.
past where
Yeah.
the writers had originally planned.
Yep.
And
And
that
you're
one
like, we're just here.
that one specific show that I'm thinking of that lasted for 15 years and then
Yes.
had a mediocre ending. Um,
That nobody was happy about.
right, but you can tell in that show, there's a definite ending. There's a final episode.
Yep.
And did that episode have a happy ending? No, but
No.
it did end the way that it should have. Like, in the
Yeah,
way that
because
things should have ended at that time. That was the
exactly.
only way for it to end.
Yeah.
And and I did read, after that season, they got signed for 87 more seasons.
And
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 so they were
I
like,
mean,
"Whoa, no. Bro, no."
and it's like I think it's the what is it? It's the Good Place quote. There's something so beautiful about human beings that you can love something so much that you just make it a little bit worse so that you can have more of it.
Right, right.
It's
And, that one specific show I think of that ended way too soon.
yeah.
Um, there's one in my brain, probably the same one that's in
Yeah.
yours, that should have had more than the one season.
And it does have comic books that you can
Yeah,
read the
there are comic
story.
books. There are also novels.
Yeah.
I've read one, and there's the movie
Mhm.
that was unnecessary and answered questions that you didn't have,
Yep.
and
And it's
ruined
heartbreaking.
ruined things that you loved.
And see, this is the thing where, like, you got more.
Yeah, and I didn't
We
want
got
it.
more.
I didn't want it. That's
We
not how
can
I wanted it.
just ignore that that happened.
I didn't want that kind.
Exactly. So sometimes we think we know what we want, but really the beauty of a good storyteller is that they know what we don't like we don't know what we want.
Right.
Like but they know what we want.
Or they know what we need.
Yes.
And, I have read, um, I do a lot of reading, and, and one of the things that I do enjoy doing is reading about the authors who write some of my favorite books and, like, how they write things. And, one of my favorite authors, at the end of all of his books, he has a letter to his readers about the process that he went through writing this particular thing. And one of them, I remember reading it, and he was like, "I started writing this, whatever the year was, it was like a decade prior, and it had just been published that year." And he was like, "I started writing it, and then the characters stopped talking to me about where they were going to go, and I couldn't finish it because I didn't know where they were going to go. They hadn't told me. I had to
Yeah.
put it away until they came back and told me." And I kind of love that idea too, from,
Yeah.
like, it's just, as the audience, we don't always know what we need, or where we want the plot to go, but
Yeah.
also sometimes the writer doesn't either.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have to wait to find out, because it's like its own entity. A
Yeah.
movie or a show or a book or whatever, it's its own thing, and it has a natural, lifespan.
I mean, it's like any form of art. Once I realize like everybody's going to have a different view about like the meaning of art and like the life of art, but once it's in my view, like once it's released out into the world, it takes on a different
Right,
meaning because every single person who comes across it is going to take something different from it
right.
and they're going to see or feel something different
Yeah,
and
based on their
it's
own life experiences.
exactly, like, there was an article I was listening to the other day, probably a few weeks ago, but it was on NPR like I do, and it was, basically about how the timing and the way like, our own life experiences, how we experience, say, a movie is gonna be completely different from one person to the next. Like, even if
Right,
we control for as many variables as we can, like, one of the examples they used was a person telling their story of, like, when they went to see a movie in a theater with their friends, and they were all, like, early 20s and went into this movie theater at the same time, had this, like, they saw the exact same movie, but, you know, a couple of those people came away and they were like, whatever. And a couple of the people are like, that was pretty good. Like, that was a pretty good movie. And then one of the people, the person who's speaking, was like, that was life changing.
Yeah.
That was because of the experience in our own lives, we're going
Right.
to see different things. And
Right.
I am a firm believer also of sometimes I am never going to understand why other people like a thing
Sure.
because I like, okay, one that comes to mind for me is Goonies. I do not understand it. I don't, and I don't think I ever will. Like, I can
Mhm.
objectively look at it and say, okay, I guess like these pieces might be really impactful to a person who saw it when they were like 13 years old.
Right.
But I didn't. I saw it as an adult. And I'm like, you guys, this is
Right.
not the best movie in the
I
world.
I also saw it as an adult. I didn't see it as a child. I
Yeah.
was 30 probably
Yeah.
before I had children. That's how old I was before I saw it. And it is I think it's cute.
Yeah.
It has
It's fine.
its funny moments.
Mhm.
Um, I but I'm not a cult follower of that particular
Yeah.
movie. I'm if it's on TV, I will click past it
Yeah.
probably. But and the one that comes to mind for me is Braveheart.
I can see that.
People love that movie.
Yeah, they
And
do.
I don't get it. And not only do I not get it, I have tried more than 10 times to watch it and never once have I made it through awake.
Yeah.
And I dated a guy once and that was hands down his favorite
His
movie
favorite
of all
movie.
time.
I feel like
And
that's a red flag right there.
it should have been. I was too young and stupid
Well,
to know that at the time, but it was, his favorite movie ever, and so often he'd put it on, he's like, "We're gonna watch it," and I'm like, "Absolutely."
I mean, or maybe it's just that now you have a Pavlovian response to that movie.
I think it is, like, I think now if I was suffering from insomnia, I could put it on and go to sleep. I
That's a good thing to keep in your back pocket,
It
honestly.
is because I do suffer from the insomnia.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Thank you. We have
Yeah.
not only did we discuss a phenomenal movie, but we may have solved one of my problems.
That's fantastic. That's what I hope everyone can get from these episodes.
Exactly. Th
I
this
can
way you
solve
can
your
see
insomnia too. Tell me the worst movie you ever saw.
Braveheart. Um, yeah. But also, like, I don't really enjoy that, I guess, genre of movie.
War action man movies, like,
Yeah,
where we beat each other up.
War Action Man, like, specifically 4-hour long War Action Man movie, like,
It's
it's
real
too much
long.
War Action Man, and, like, I put, like, Gladiator in that
Yeah,
same category. I can't watch Gladiator, I've tried. I am not
pretty
interested.
long.
It's
It's
long as hell.
I you know, even the 300, honestly, I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't care enough to keep watching.
If I'm going to watch a 4-hour movie, it's gonna have Sean Astin as Samwise Gamgee in it.
Or Alan Rickman as,
Snape.
no,
That's
Pride and Prejudice A&E version. Mr. Darcy.
Oh.
My brain just, like, completely vanished. But yes,
Oh,
A&E
yeah,
version, and that one's 6 hours long, and I will watch every single minute of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, he's I is he also in The Sense and Sensibility
It's been a while since I've seen that one.
With, Kate
With
Winslet
Emma,
and Emma Thompson?
maybe. There's always, like, a cluster of British actors who are in everything of that age, like, everything of that era. they're in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Um,
I love him in just
yeah,
about everything that he did.
basically, yeah.
But yeah, so there are some movies that just don't sit well with some people,
And that's okay.
but I think that Rocky, I don't think I've ever spoke to anyone who is like, "You know what movie I cannot stand?
Yeah.
Rocky."
Like it might not be their favorite in the whole world, and it's not my favorite in the whole world, but it's really good.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a really well done movie.
And I think people do forget that Stallone wrote
Yeah.
it.
So one of my spouse's favorite things about that is that because Sylvester Stallone won an Oscar for Rocky, for writing Rocky,
Mhm.
now in front of the Expendables and every other like ridiculous action movie that Sylvester Stallone happens to be in, they can put on the front cover with Academy Award winning Sylvester Stallone. Like, it just gives automatic credence to like
Right.
whatever awful
Right.
movie he's going to be in.
Yeah, and he has been in some awful ones.
Yeah.
There have been not good ones.
But they get
Um,
to say Academy Award winner.
right. And like when I'm talking about like war man movies, that's kind of Sylvester Stallone's bread and butter
Yeah.
for part of his career was war
Yeah.
man movies. And eh, meh. But
Though I will
Rocky,
say Rambo is actually a whole lot deeper than a lot of people remember.
it is. It is.
It is an anti-war movie.
Mhm. It is it's
100%.
it is definitely a having a conversation about the dangers of war
Yeah.
beyond just the fact that war kills people.
Yep.
Um,
So this was a fantastic discussion about Rocky. I really love it. And I think like it's one of the again, like I don't like sports. I don't watch sports. I know you like sports and that's fine.
I like the
Yeah.
one sport.
And I'm always really excited for you when your sport team wins. But I don't get it, but I do love sports movies. Like, I do appreciate them, and it took me, like, until adulthood to really appreciate that they are not the same, right? Like,
Right,
that the sport itself is completely different from the sport movie, because the
right,
sport movies are usually underdog stories. That's all they are.
right.
They're usually just, like, Cinderella, underdog, all of that.
And everybody loves an underdog.
They do. But so because this is iconically set in Philadelphia, I chose to make an abomination of the Philly cheesesteak by trying to make it dairy free, which
Mhm.
I know that like some people don't even think that cheese is supposed to go on a Philly cheesesteak. I don't know. I think it's like an opinion. It's
Mm.
like a preference.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
but Cheese Whiz, I feel like, is a pretty common addition to the Philly cheesesteak traditionally.
Yeah,
But so I came up with a cheese sauce that I actually really enjoy.
okay,
Because I cannot have dairy and I do like cheese still. But like cheese sauces are hard. Like I can eat a hard cheese, right? And
mhm,
that's not usually going to bother me as much. But
right,
cheese sauce is just a really bad idea.
yeah.
It's a very bad idea.
For some reason, when you make it liquidy, it has different properties in your
Yeah.
digestive system.
I think also because it has milk, usually a cheese sauce is going to have milk to make it more liquidy.
Right,
But so one of the keys that I found to this cheese sauce recipe um was actually xanthan gum
okay,
or um a oh, sorry, a tapioca flour.
okay,
And it basically it makes it stretchier instead of um sort of grainy.
okay,
So we're instead of using all purpose flour, I use tapioca flour
Mhm.
for my cheese sauce recipe. And I will post like the actual recipe. This has got my brain is not in the place to like spout off all of the ingredients and
Sure.
the process today, but I will post the recipe itself so that we can refer to it. But the Philly cheesesteak, like the steak part is basically just like skirt steak or um flank steak or whatever. And you can make it either in a crock pot, so it's just kind of cooking
Yeah.
all day. Um though it really only takes about 4 to 6 hours, so it's more of like a hopefully you come home in the afternoon and can start that so that you can have it for dinner, because if
Yeah.
you start it in the morning, it will fall apart by the time like, it will be just completely fallen apart by dinner time. So, you can cook it in the crock pot or you can cook it on the stove, and it's really pretty basic. The main addition that I made is dairy free. And I also, instead of using, milk, I use water, but to make it creamier, um, they've actually come a long ways with like almond yogurt in recent
Okay.
years. And it's a little interesting when you just eat almond yogurt by itself. It's a little
Okay.
weird. I'm gonna
Right.
be honest. The texture, it's unfortunately reminds me of eating lotion a little bit. It's not a great, but in other things.
Okay.
So, like,
We
we're
can use it
using it
as
as
an
an ingredient.
ingredient.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that you can't tell that it tastes like lotion a little bit. So, I use it in my smoothies and, in the cheese sauce.
Okay.
So, it helps it become creamier and, like, so the either xanthan gum or tapioca flour, like, helps it become stretchier.
Mhm.
And this cheese sauce also works really well for, like, nacho sauce and
Okay.
other stuff. You're just changing the spices.
Mhm. Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have to keep dairy free as much, but I am always interested in new foods, although I'm pretty sure the people who worship the Philly cheesesteak will burn you at the stake for that.
That's fair. They can, but you know what I will not be doing? Being in the bathroom all day while they're doing that. So,
You won't have to spend the day in the restroom.
it's a trade-off.
Yep. It's a choice that you've made,
It
and
is.
look, stand by your choices.
Yep.
Even
Look, the Midwest loves cheese way too much, and
they sure do. Since moving
Philadelphia, for
here
some reason, thinks that they're in the Midwest, I guess, because cheese, but
since
whatever.
moving here, it's yeah. Now living in the Midwest now for the first time ever, cheese is definitely a part of every meal. Like, you go to, like, a local,
Yeah.
family-owned restaurant, every dish has some sort of cheese component. And, like,
Yep.
I'm here for it. I am here
Yeah.
for it.
I'm here for the idea of it.
But some people, not so much. Like you, my good
It's
friend.
just not gonna be a good time. It's like a I don't know. I think I'm becoming more and more one of those weirdos that's just gonna ask for everything on the side. Can you
Yeah.
just, like, give me the ingredients
Give
to
me
the meal
the
that you were going to make, and then I will put it together?
what do they well, they're like wasn't that a trend in the recent past with fancy restaurants?
Oh,
Like
like, make it yourself?
well, like the like a decomposed
Yeah,
thing.
deconstructed.
Deconstructed, right. And so, like, they would bring you, like, a plate that had little ramekins of all the different things, and, like, here's a, deconstructed
Yep.
sweet potato pie, and they brought you some sweet potatoes and some sugar or whatever, whatever I'm
And
thinking
you're
of.
like, "Why do I have to make my own food?
Like, I came here so that if I wanted to cook, I would've
I
stayed
would have
home.
stayed home." I mean, I guess it's the same idea as, like, meal kits,
Yeah,
really. It's just that now I'm also paying for the ambiance,
right.
I guess?
I don't know.
I
I
don't
like the
know.
ambiance of my house.
Yeah, part of the ambiance of a restaurant is that I don't have to cook it.
Right, and, you know, what is that restaurant with the fondue?
Oh, melting pot?
Right? My friend recently heard about it. They don't have it where she's from.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Have you heard they have this place in St. Louis. It's called the Melting Pot. It's fondue." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I've been there." She's like, "You've been?" And I was like, "It's a chain, baby. It's
Yeah.
all over the
It's
country."
in like large cities. That's probably
Right.
why she's never heard of it.
And well, and she is not from America.
Oh, okay.
And so she's only been living in America for about 18 months, but they do not have them in Germany. Um,
Well,
but
it's like hot pot for cheese.
and I was like, you know, the and I was like, "But it's expensive." And she's like, "It's expensive? How expensive?" And so she looked up the prices and she was like, "Holy God, for me to cook my own food, they want me to pay that much money?" Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Now you're starting to think like an adult. You want me to come in and cook my own food and still pay you?
And pay you.
Absolutely
No.
not. No. That's gonna be a no from me.
You know what? Buying a fondue pot would be less expensive.
Right. Right. And
I can get friends together. Like that was a whole thing in the 70s is
mhm,
like getting
fondue
friends
party.
together and doing a fondue party.
Right. I don't even need friends.
I think it was just to justify like the effort that goes into making fondue, right? Like because it is a little bit of effort.
So I've never made fondue, obviously, because I am a normal person, not a chef. But if I ever do get a fondue pot, I'll be hitting you up for how to make some fondue. So what you're saying is you don't just plop a block of cheese in there and pray on it, right?
Not usually.
All right,
Well,
cool.
because you want it like it's like making a cheese sauce, like a thicker cheese sauce that's mostly cheese.
Okay.
Um, and like it mostly just takes time and like
Yeah.
constant stirring.
Stir. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a custard.
Yeah.
Constant stirring.
Yep.
Your eggs will scramble.
Okay.
It happened to me yesterday.
That's the saddest.
Yeah, it's fine. But this was very enjoyable, even
Yes.
though you made a cheese abomination.
I did. I'm okay
But
with that.
as long as it's tasty,
Yeah. That's the thing, right? Is like I'm not gonna give y'all recipes that I wouldn't eat.
right?
Like
Like, I'm sure that you would not come here and be like, "I made this crazy cheese abomination. It's disgusting, and you should try it."
like I will bring you movies that are horrible, but I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
you
give
will.
you recipes that are horrible.
You will bring us movies that are horrible. I remember,
I
but
have to say, I mean, I guess it doesn't speak to my taste that I still enjoy them in
well,
some
yeah,
ways.
it's there's all for most movies, not Braveheart, obviously, but for most movies, there's something enjoyable to find in there, something that you can appreciate.
Like, delightfully bad
Right, even if you can just appreciate how
that it's
funny it
over.
is because it's so bad.
Yeah, or that it's done and you
Yeah,
never have to watch it again.
yeah, even if your favorite thing about it is the end credits that only had 10 names on them.
Yeah, sometimes it's like that.
Sometimes it'd be like that, you know?
It just happens. Okay. Thank you so much, and this was a fantastic episode, talking about a really, really good movie.
Yes. If you haven't seen Rocky, you should go check it out.
Definitely. Okay. See you guys later.
Bye.